Oh, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Actually, it was a horrible day in the neighborhood. It was atrocious. The Green Bay Packers select our Philadelphia Eagles 53 to 20 on Sunday. It was about as ugly as watching Miley Cyrus and Khloe Kardashian going off in a twerk off. Yeah, that's how bad it was. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedke. Yikes. Yikes.
Oh boy, was this a nightmare? I think it was because we predicted a loss, but let's be honest, we didn't think this was going to happen. The Packers just laid it on us. Absolutely domination, no doubt about it. The Eagles were not ready to play, and the Packers were. And I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers has it going on right now, and the Packers are a scary team right now in the NFC. A team that unfortunately the Eagles might have to face in the playoffs. And if they do, Philadelphia, it's not going to be pretty because the Packers have our number. And boy, are they hot right now.
Yeah, let's hope the Detroit Lions take the NFC North because right now the Packers they improved to 5-0 at home this year, where they've outscored opponents 219 to 85. They're 33 and 3 in their last 36 home games with Aaron Rodgers under center. They've outscored opponents 128 to 9 in the first half in their last 4 home games. Rodgers hasn't thrown a pick there since December 2nd, 2012. So let's just pray. Let's bless ourselves. Let's hope that the Lions can pull this out because if they have to travel to Green Bay again, the same thing's going to happen. This was awful.
Yeah, the Packers at Lambeau Field right now. That's quite the task to take on. And I don't know if anyone's ready to take that on because they are just so hot at home. It's impossible to stop. Aaron Rodgers, you can't say enough about the guy. He's just gone out there the past few weeks and he's just lit it up. He's making all the throws. And, well, I'll tell you what, the Eagles came in with, what kind of game plan did they come in with? I have no idea. But the game plan should have been somehow, anyway, try to get to Aaron Rodgers, try to deflect his passes, try to hit his arm or touch his jersey. But, nothing. I don't even think that, we touch that guy's jersey or laid a finger on him.
Billy Davis elected to put his cornerbacks on an island, and the Eagles' pressure was non-existent. And what happens, Mike, when you're on an island? You get burned, especially when you don't bring your suntan lotion.
Yeah, well, we were talking about how Kerry Williams would forget to bring his suntan lotion. Well, it seemed like, Kerry Williams actually, he had a little bit of suntan lotion, left in his bottle. But Bradley Fletcher obviously forgot to purchase his suntan lotion because he was getting burned by Jordy Nelson, who is turning into a real star. And, this game was out of reach from the beginning. And I'll tell you why. Because it all started with the opening kickoff when Cody Parkey slips on the opening kickoff. Now, Cody Parkey never slips, so that was a bad omen to start. Then 3 plays into the game, Jordy Nelson burns Bradley Fletcher, 64-yard gain, game over.
Basically. And then even when the Eagles hold them to a field goal, the ensuing drive, Matt Tobin just lets LaTroy Guy go right through. Mark Sanchez gets sacked. And then on the next Green Bay possession, they have a 3rd and 9, a 3rd and 18, and a 3rd and 10. Did the Eagles stop any of them? No. No, they didn't. It was awful. It was the most points the Eagles gave up since a 62-10 loss in 1972 to the New York Giants. It was horrible. This game reminded me exactly of last year against the Denver Broncos. They lost 52-20. It was the same thing. They couldn't get pressure on Peyton Manning, and he gets rid of the ball so damn quick. And this secondary is just absolutely abysmal. It just picked us apart, and the same thing happened yesterday. Oh. Jeremy Maclin said it best. We wouldn't have beaten Oakland with the way we played.
But Jerry Macklin's exactly right because they played horrible yesterday, and they just no pressure on Rodgers. And if you don't put pressure on that guy and you just allow him to sit back there, he's gonna pick you apart. And that's exactly what he did. So yeah, I mean for the defense. Obviously, that was the worst game plan of the year, worst ever from the defense all around. After they actually came off one of their best performances this year against the Panthers, they come out and they really lay a stinker here. I mean, this one's really on the defense. Offense wasn't much better, but at least the offense did move the ball somewhat and put some points on the board. But the defense just totally laid an egg.
You know what? I'm like becoming more and more convinced that the Eagles have the worst third and long defense in the NFL. It is just awful. It's you don't want to blitz on like a 3rd and 15, but what happens is, our coverage is just so damn bad. Guys just roam free, and a 3rd and 18. Right when I saw Trent Cole went off sides on that 3rd and 23, I'm like, they're gonna pick this shit up now, and they did, and then. It's like 10-0 like that, and then we punt, and then Micah Hyde returns the kick, and it's 17-0 just like that. And Philadelphia, this isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, all you have to do is look at these, few plays in the beginning of the game that we just talked about, and you were talking about how Tobin got beat badly on that one play, and that was key. And then you're talking about the, punt return that the Packers had. And, that brings up another point in, what in the world is Josh Huff doing today? Making another mistake. This guy is just making one mistake after another. If it's not a fumble, he's watching a guy run right by him for a punt return. I'm still baffled. I have no idea what Josh Huff was doing on that play. He had a chance to make a tackle. He got there. He was in position. All he had to do was wrap his arms around the guy.
It's what Casey Matthews used to do before he got somewhat decent. He'd be in position to make a play, and then he just wouldn't do it. That's exactly what happened on this play. It was just atrocious. I mean, the effort from this team yesterday was just non-existent, and it was awful. It was just bad. It was bad. I mean, the thing that's somewhat concerning now, I don't know if you feel the same way. They're now 0-3 against, NFC playoff caliber teams on the road. And, say they got a 3 seed, and you go out and you have to play like a 2 seed like in Arizona or Green Bay. They've now lost to San Francisco on the road, Arizona on the road, and now Green Bay. Now, granted, 2 of those games they could have won, so it kind of works both ways. But now 0-3 against those teams on the road.
Yeah, it's not a good trend that we're getting into here. We're becoming a team that can beat bad teams, but we can't beat good teams. And in order to become a team that wants to win a Super Bowl, you're going to have to step up your game against these good playoff caliber teams. And, pull out wins like this. Now, going into Green Bay and winning, you're probably not going to do. But, going into places like against a San Fran team who's kind of struggling and going into Arizona, even though Arizona has the best record in the NFL, there are games that the Eagles could have won. But they didn't do it. So, until they can prove that they can beat these playoff caliber teams, then they're not going to be able to take that next step.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to our offense a little bit because the offensive line was awful. I was expecting a little resurgence from them. They're healthy now, and it was the worst they played since San Francisco. The San Francisco game was real bad. Obviously, we know about all the starters being out in that one, but the only guy you didn't have was Todd Hermans, and it was just a brutal performance. I don't know if Mathis and Kelsey aren't in football shape yet because, there were some plays where I saw them pulling around the edge, and Clay Matthews and other guys, they were just getting off their blocks. They were shedding their blocks, and, they were getting to McCoy. You normally see that them pulling, you're like, oh, that's going to be like a 10 to 15 yard gain. It wasn't happening yesterday. And it wasn't just that, it was the pass protection too. The pass protection was awful. Sanchez had like no time to throw. And you know, and once Green Bay got up 17-0, they just let out the blitzes, they just kept blitzing one after another. You can sit back in coverage once you're up that much, and yeah, it was just so frustrating.
Yeah, well, this is a thing. This is when all the talk, people are starting to say now they're going to bring up, oh, Deshaun Jackson's coming up again. Oh, McCoy, he's lost a step. All these issues are coming up again because the Eagles have lost a game. Well, they got absolutely destroyed. Well, that's not the problem. The problem is, like you said, the offensive line just had an absolutely horrible game. McCoy had nowhere to run. Sanchez couldn't do much. Yeah, the one interception was old Sanchez when he threw it right to Peppers. That was definitely old Sanchez. But for the most part, I don't think Sanchez did a bad job. I mean, I think he did what he could do. He could have done better. Yeah, he definitely missed some throws, but with the pressure that he was getting, he couldn't do much. I mean, he was getting absolutely pounded, and I don't know how long that they can live with, Tobin making the mistakes that he's making right now. Because honestly, you go back and you look at that game, that was a huge play in the game, I felt like, because the Eagles really needed to go down and get a field goal or a touchdown on their first drive.
No, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And you know what? I'm hearing all these Philadelphia fans complaining on Twitter yesterday, all these missed calls, the helmet things. Don't blame the refs, okay? It was 30-6 at halftime, all right? Like, you're not going to come back from a 36 deficit from like one or two helmet-to-helmet contact flags. Come on. So, all right, so they get a field goal there. It's 30-9. Big whoop-de fucking do.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. You can't even, blame the refs in this one at all. The main thing is we started to settle for field goals again, and that's never, a good recipe for winning. So we definitely have to start cleaning that up again. We were pretty good there in the red zone with Sanchez, but, like you said, our offensive line fell apart. If you're going to take any positives away on the offensive side of the ball, you got to just continue to look at Jordan Matthews. This guy is coming into his own. Another 100-yard receiving game. And, if this guy keeps it up, he's going to put up some big numbers by the end of the year.
Yeah. And, I got to bring up this point now because it's like everyone was blaming Foles. It's great when you have a pocket. And this year that pocket has been non-existent. And it showed yesterday with Sanchez, like, you're not going to make completions when you don't have any time to throw. I mean, what do you got, like 26 to 44? And he had like 17 incompletions last week, but 26 to 44, Everyone wants to hop on the Sanchez, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? That's what happens. Foles was dealing with the same thing, just really not much time back there to throw the ball. And that's really the problem. I mean, honestly, it's pretty crazy to think that, we're sitting here at 7-3 right now with the problems that we've had along the offensive line, all the injuries that, coupled with the turnovers. I mean, really, we should really be fortunate with the position that we're in right now. And, you're talking about guys like Mathis and Kelsey. And, those are two guys that we really have to keep our eye on here because Kelsey's got to step up his game. I don't know what happened to the guy. Before his injury, well, he's like probably the best center in the league. After the injury, he's the average center at this point. He's really just he's missing a lot of snaps, high snaps, costly snaps too that we can't afford. So he's got to get his act together fast.
I mean, flat out, Mathis and Kelsey were not good yesterday. They just weren't. I mean, they might as well have had David Moak in there. Like, it wasn't good. It was not good at all. I mean, oh, God. All right, and it's like, And it pisses me off because all these little idiots running around are like, well, the Sean McCoy, he's lost a step. He's not as good anymore. Like, are you kidding me? All right, watch the games last year, okay? Look at the holes and look at all the space that LaShawn McCoy had. McCoy is best on the second level. He makes people miss. You know, he's never been the fastest and fleetest of foot. That's like the biggest misconception about him. He ran a 4.540. That's not really that fast. He lost to Michael Vick in a 40-yard dash, okay? And this isn't like Michael Vick in his heyday. This was Michael Vick, like 33-year-old after prison Michael Vick, okay? So the guy has not lost a step. He's 26 years old, all right? He's in the best shape of his career. He has not lost a step. Just every team is stacking the box, and the offensive line isn't getting any run lanes for him. And he's taking the heat for all this, and it's horrible. I feel horrible for the guy. You know, he should have left a tip for that freaking burger joint.
I totally agree with you on this one. I think that people are, getting out of control with these McCoy comments. I mean, let's cut the guy some slack. It's kind of ironic that, a week before the Packers play the Eagles, they move, Clay Matthews to inside linebacker. Kind of ironic. Maybe they were getting ready for the Eagles. They knew that they were first playing the Bears, so let's give them a little test period at inside linebacker. And then, you have him ready for the Eagles game, and boy, was he ready. And it was a smart move by the Packers, and that's what every team is doing this year. They're taking away the Eagles' running game. So McCoy has nowhere to go. And like you said, he's not the type of runner that's going to go north and south and beat you that way. He needs to get to the second level. He's a shifty back, and, well, the holes aren't there this year for him to do that. It's almost like, trying to change Michael Vick from a running quarterback into a pocket passer. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, oh, God. And this talk is just really pissing me off.
Oh, well, Sproles, he's a guy. Sproles he can get 10 carries a game, right?
No, 25. Give him 25. 25. That's the other thing. It's like people don't get that. The reason why Sproles has a high average is because he's a pass threat. So when teams are out on the field and they see him, they think he's coming out of the backfield. When he gets a carry, it's almost like a surprise. It's like a changeup in baseball. His fastball is coming out of the backfield. His changeup and his curveball, that's getting like a counterplay and getting to the edge. If he got 25 carries a game, he'd get 3.5 yards a carry. Okay, so shut the fuck up, people. God damn it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If the Eagles gave Darren Sproles like 20 carries a game, well, number one, he might be carted off the field on a stretcher. Number two, we wouldn't have him for the rest of the season. Number three, we wouldn't have a punt returner. And, well, there goes a lot of your production. So, ding, ding, ding. That's why Darren Sproles is not getting that many carries. And like you said, he's a change of pace back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. That's why when he gets the ball, he gets so many yards, because teams aren't stacking the box against him, because he's not a big running threat. He's more of a threat out of the backfield. So teams know that McCoy is a big running threat, so they're going to prepare for it. And the reason why the Eagles got beat the way they did yesterday was because the Packers did a nice job of stopping the run, but they also did a great job of getting to Sanchez. Thus, the Eagles could not beat the Packers in the passing game.
Boom. I like it. Ding, ding, ding. I love it. I love it. Yeah, but Clay Matthews, going back to him, he was outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. I remember the one play where, he was out on the edge. Mathis, he pulled beautifully. Great technique to get there, and then Matthews just shed the block, makes the play. He got a holding call on that play, Mathis, and Clay was just all over the place. It was all over the place, and I just hope that Casey watched his brother play yesterday, and took some tips.
Yeah, well, we can only hope. I mean, I think that at this point, Casey can take as many tips as he wants, but he'll never be like Clay. Clay is just he's an unbelievable athlete. it's pretty crazy, but we've had a string of a few games here where we've played some really athletic defenders. I mean, you talk about playing guys like J.J. Watt to Kuechly, and now to a guy like Clay Matthews. These guys are really a force on the defensive side of the ball, and well, that's really something that the Eagles are missing, especially in the secondary position, and that's where they're really being held back. And they're really not going to be able to take the next step until they're able to upgrade, really the defense in general, but especially the quarterback position.
Yeah. All right. Stats time. Let's go over some stats. Aaron Rodgers. Oh, this motherfucker. 22 of 36, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's pretty good. Mark Sanchez, on the other hand, 26 of 44, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This is a perfect illustration of why stats don't matter, because Sanchez threw for more yards, but obviously, Sanchez, come on. Most of that came in the second half. All right. LaShawn McCoy, 23 carries, 88 yards, 3.8 yards per tote. Darren Sproles got 2 carries for 21 yards. That's why people were all pissed off. He only got 2 carries. Well, sore nuts. Chris Polk. Now, I will say this. I will say that I think Chris Polk should get more carries because he's a north-south guy, and I think he's productive. Although yesterday, only 3 carries for, well, he didn't get any yards. Eddie Lacy. Oh, my God, this guy. I don't think anybody tackled this guy from the Eagles yesterday. 10 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 3 receptions for 45 yards out of the backfield with a score. Randall Cobb. Oh, another one. 10 receptions, 129 yards for him. Jordy Nelson, 4 for 109. And then your boy Jordan Matthews, 5 for 107 with a score. And Jeremy Maclin, 9 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. So there are the stats. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, we knew those guys were going to go off. They did. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I was the Eagles this week, there's 2 things that I'd be working on defense. Tackling, number one. That was really a pretty putrid game as far as tackling goes. Probably one of our worst of the season. Other thing that we continue to need to work on is locating the damn football with our cornerbacks. I don't know what it's going to take at this point. I mean, we're more than halfway through the season, and we're still having the same issue. These guys, they seem to be in somewhat of a position to make a play, but they just do not have any ball skills at all, and it's really frustrating to watch because you can just see it happen every throw to Jordy Nelson, Fletcher not locating the ball.
Nope, not at all. And then Brandon Boykin goes out. I'm just like, oh, God. Oh, man. Once he went out, it was really over, I don't know if have you heard any updates on him? How's he doing?
I haven't heard any updates, but I didn't hear anything bad, so I would imagine that he's all right. Hopefully, probably just got banged up a little bit. Yeah, but this is why we weren't having a party after we dominated the Panthers. Because you can't get too high and you can't go too low in this league. And that's why we're not sitting here and crying and so upset over this loss, because you have to be realistic. We beat up on a bad Panthers team, and we lost to a pretty damn good Packers team. So it's kind of what we expected. And you can't get too down on this loss. I mean, this is really a game that you just look at the tape and you throw it in the trash can. I mean, every team has a game like this every year. I mean, look what just happened to the Broncos. The Broncos and Peyton Manning just got beat by the Rams, and they only put up 7 points. So what are you going to – oh, the Broncos are horrible because they can't beat the Rams? No. It's a National Football League. This happens.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does. And you know what? To harp in on that point, because you got to – let's go back to last year, all right? 52-20, we got our asses beat by the Broncos, and how did we respond? We responded pretty well, didn't we? We kicked it into gear after that. Nick Foles and company, they played really well. and they responded, and hopefully the same thing happens this year. Practice this week, Chip lays it into them good. Maybe they drink more smoothies. I don't know, but I think they're going to be fine. You got a little cupcake coming up on Sunday. Tennessee State coming in. No, they're not Tennessee. It's Tennessee State. They suck this year. So you got them coming in. You'd hope to get a win there, and then you got the 3-game stretch that really matters. Dallas twice, Seattle in the middle, and Seahawks are beatable. They're 6-4 right now. They don't look like they're a shell of their Super Bowl selves from last year. So that's a winnable game. Dallas, 2 winnable games there. So let's hope that they can win 2 out of 3 there, and lock up the division. Keep praying that the Lions can somehow pull a miracle and win their division, because I'll tell you what, though, if they have to go to Green Bay in a playoff game, it's not going to happen. So, yeah. Done.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, we should, it's going to be a critical 3-game stretch there, like you said, when they play, Dallas, Seattle, Dallas. Really, at this point, how I'm looking at it, if the Eagles want to win a division, they got to beat Dallas twice. If they don't beat Dallas twice, they're not getting the division. And really, I only think that they can afford to lose 2 more games, 3 at the most, if they want to get a playoff spot. So that's what we're looking at, really.
I think you got to get to 11 wins to get a playoff spot. I think you got to get there. I mean, I looked at Seattle's schedule. It's really difficult down the stretch. But you got San Francisco at 6-4. You got Detroit at 7-3. You have Green Bay at 7-3. I'm not going to get into the NFC South because that's horrible. Dallas is 7-3. So you got like 8 teams fighting for 6 spots, and it's gonna be tough, guys. Don't just assume this team's going to make the playoffs. It's not an easy year for that. So it's like last year. Arizona got to 11 wins and it didn't make the playoffs. So if it happens, don't get on this fire chip train or anything. It might not happen, people.
Yeah, and that would be pretty crazy considering that, we would end up probably with, 10 wins and pretty much be like the same season as last year, and, people would be going crazy. But we should be all right. As long as we, totally don't implode after this, I think that the Eagles should be able to make the playoffs. My gut feeling right now is that we should be able to beat Dallas twice, and if we can do that, I think that we're going to get the division.
Yeah, I think you can split against Dallas because the game that's going to loom large is that Colt McCoy game. Redskins beating them. As long as the Eagles can beat the Redskins again, because you look at the teams in the division. If the Eagles lose to Dallas, if they split against Dallas, they would go, let's say 5-1 in the division, because I think they would beat the Giants. Giants right now are not a good football team. And then you got the Redskins, and obviously they're imploding right now. You got RG3 throwing his teammates under the bus. Deshaun Jackson's right there with them, twisting the knife in their backs. That's why we don't want Deshaun on this team, right? Culture wins games.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
People are, obviously devastated by this loss, and they're all like, oh, well, Deshaun. Well, if Deshaun was still on this team, there's a good chance that he would be causing a lot of drama right now.
Yeah. He might as well be a girl, dude. Like he's such a diva. He's such a diva.
Yeah.
Beyonce.
Yeah, guy's got unbelievable talent, but such a diva. That's what he is, and people have to realize that, and there's a reason why the Eagles got rid of him, and the Eagles have a better record right now to the Redskins, so it looks like the Eagles did the right thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh boy, but this loss just such a bitter taste in my mouth. It's like you said it earlier. We didn't expect to win. And we didn't even expect to be within single digits, really. Like, we both were like, all right, so they'll lose by 10 points. But, we wanted them to at least be in the game. It was just never close. Never, ever close. It wasn't. It was awful.
Well, early on, like I knew after the first quarter that it was over because we missed so many opportunities that there was just no way that we were getting back into the game after you spot the Packers a 17-0 lead. And like I mentioned earlier, I knew like pretty much 3 plays into the game that this thing was over because once I saw that Rodgers was going to be able to connect with Nelson like that all game long, we had no shot. And like you were talking about, the long third downs that they were converting, giving that up, you've got no shot at all to beat the Packers. And going into the game, we needed to play a perfect game to beat them. Well, we played the complete opposite.
And it's like no pressure whatsoever. All right, like I don't care about the sacks and stuff. That
Yeah,
doesn't.
no.
All right, at least like disrupt the timing between Rodgers and his receivers. We know he gets the ball out quick, but make him get the ball out quick because the pressure's going to get there. There was just not. He had all day to throw. He really did. He picked us. There was one point in the game where he was like smiling at us. Like I wanted to slap the shit out of him.
Yeah, well, he had like all the reasons to smile because he was throwing the ball all over the place. He was running around like he was, Kaepernick or Russell Wilson. The guy was just doing everything. He couldn't be stopped, and we're just looking like idiots. I mean, we've got Huff stopping on a punt return, like he's some kind of drill sergeant. Jeez, I mean, I don't know what's going on. We couldn't tackle anybody. We were just letting, Lacey was just pounding us over like he was on some kind of construction site, like it was a demolition derby.
Hey, this is what I've been seeing from Lacey, though, so we're not the only team that's felt like this. This guy breaks so many damn tackles. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, this guy. There were points. I think the one touchdown that he had, we had like 5 guys around him, and they couldn't bring him down. They just couldn't bring him down. This guy is just a maniac. He's a monster. He's just they got to test him for steroids. They have to. He's got to be on something.
Yeah, well, if he didn't play for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, and he played with a team with not so just a great quarterback, this guy would be putting up monster numbers because he would be getting the ball a lot, and he would just be bulldozing over people. So that's why his numbers aren't that great this year because he's got Rodgers, who's just absolutely lighting it up. So there's no reason to give him the ball.
Yeah, and well, their offensive line hasn't been good all year, but
Well,
they were good yesterday. Oh. I really thought they were going to get pressure on them. And that's really why they lost yesterday. That's really why they lost. They couldn't get anything whatsoever. And it's like they weren't getting the pressure, and Davis, he never adjusted the game plan. He just kept coming. They weren't doubling Nelson, weren't doubling Cobb. They just kept trying to get to Rodgers, and it just wasn't happening. Nothing. Connor Barwin played like shit. He's been so good, but he played horrible yesterday. The whole defense played horrible. Oh, I can't wait for the show. Actually, it's a good thing that I have to leave soon because I'm about to have a heart attack. I'm getting all riled up over this shit.
Yeah, you're gonna go, get some blood work done. They'll probably take your blood pressure, and it's gonna be sky high. They'll probably send you to the ER.
It's funny because after that Rams game, the next day I had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor asked me, why is your blood pressure so high? I'm like, did you watch the Eagles game yesterday? Just imagine how high it'd be if they lost. So it's I have these things with my doctors, but yeah, we actually have to get off in like 5 minutes. I gotta go, but yeah, it's not a good one for the heart patients yesterday.
No, not a good one for any Eagles fan yesterday. Just a horrible game. Yeah, I'm just forgetting about this right now. I mean, as a fan, I mean, obviously we've had the Cowboys game marked on our calendar since the beginning of the year. Thanksgiving, we can't wait for it. This Titans game, or Tennessee State, I should say, is
Tennessee State, Tennessee Chattanooga, whatever you want to call it.
It's such a tease. I mean, this is like a bit. It's like an appetizer before we get to the big meal. But first, we have to get through the appetizer because if overlook this Tennessee State team, then we could be in trouble.
I could totally see him being down at halftime in this game, like 14-10 or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, if that happens, people might be jumping off bridges, and especially if McCoy is like sucking at halftime, people are going to be talking about trading McCoy. I mean,
Oh my God.
it's already
If I
getting.
start hearing that shit, like trade him for the #1 pick, I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because like, I don't want to get charged with murder, but like, I want to start slapping some bitches.
Well, it's because just people are losing their minds. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. The McCoy thing is one thing that I'll never understand what these people are thinking. If you go back and watch the film, all you can see he's nowhere to run. There's nowhere for him to run. So I don't know what people want him to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's not Superman. He's not gonna just like break 100 tackles. He's not Eddie Lacy. Like, what do you guys want him to do? You know, Jesus Christ. All right, we got a couple minutes left. We'll quickly talk about some other games in the NFL. Jonas Gray, 199 shades of gray because he ran for 199. Damn, I couldn't get that one out. 199 yards yesterday, 4 touchdowns. Patriots pummel the Colts. The fighting Andrew Luck's 42-20. That one wasn't close. And the other one to talk about, well, we talked about it earlier, Broncos and Rams. That was the other big shocker yesterday. But the big game, I was really looking for. That was a game I covered last night. But it was never really close. The Patriots just ran right over the Colts.
Yeah, well, that Patriots Colts thing. The big thing was going to be the Colts that somehow try to find a way on defense to slow down Tom Brady, but they couldn't do it. Tom Brady and that Patriots offense just dominant, and the Colts couldn't get enough stops. And then the Rams, probably the most bizarre team in the NFL this year. Actually, not a bad football team because they've hung in there with a lot of tough teams. They've actually beaten some good teams, but they just find a way to lose other games. They have problems at quarterback. They can't find the right guy. But besides that, they've actually got a pretty good defense.
Yeah, it's that team is really interesting because when we played them and like they came back on us, like everybody was all pissed off. I'm like, yeah, it's the Rams. They suck. Blah, blah. It was a matter of time for their defense to turn around. After our game, they had 1 sack on the year. 1. Robert Quinn didn't do anything. And now all of a sudden they're doing all these great things. Like they were putting Peyton Manning on the ground. Peyton Manning never gets sacked, and he was getting sacked yesterday. So this Rams defense has really turned a corner. It's just too bad that it's already too late for them because they're not making the playoffs or anything. But they're playing some really good football right now. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Rams. They beat the 49ers. So they've beaten some really good teams lately.
Yeah, no, they have. A very, very bizarre team. Only if they had a quarterback. If they had a quarterback, then they'd be in pretty good shape, but they don't. So just shows how much a quarterback means in this league.
Yeah, it really does. All right, so anything? I guess this is final thoughts time. I got to get out of here. Final thoughts, Mike.
Well, there's not many final thoughts for this one. I'm just gonna put my hood up and mourn this loss. And off to Tennessee. Believe in Chip. That's all I can say. It was a horrible loss. I don't want to even talk about it anymore. Congrats to the Packers. They absolutely killed us off the playing the Titans.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers said RELAX. I say KCCO. Keep calm and chip on. That's all I got to say.
There it is.
All right. So with that being said, that's Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedke. We'll be back later in the week with a Titans preview. So enjoy your day, everybody, because I'm not. See you guys. Go Birds.
Go Birds.